This is the real concrete jungle.
Where I'm from, yeah. I'm from a concrete jungle in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
The concrete jungle.
Welcome to the Concrete Jungle Podcast, in-depth artist interviews, where we'll be diving a little deeper with some of your favorite artists from all around the world and introduce you to some dope people you never knew you needed to know. Shout out to the Concrete Jungle Clothing, sponsoring all your dope local and international artists all around the world. Tap in on Instagram at the Concrete Jungle, that's Jungle with the one, to check out our latest collection now. Check it out, y'all. Tonight, we have the honor of welcoming to the Concrete Jungle a true inspiration in the fashion industry. Her unique, one-of-a-kind designs are absolutely mind-blowing, infusing culture and couture. Her current short film, Tapa, has our guest of honor on the cutting edge of the fashion culture. Straight out of Carson, California, yo. Please welcome to the Concrete Jungle, fashion designer slash entrepreneur slash icon slash Vera Wang ain't got nothing on her wedding dresses, yo. Creative designer of Lift Fashion, y'all. Make some noise for Nancy Elizabeth. I'm in the building, y'all.
The Concrete Jungle.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Good,
wow,
good,
what an
good.
introduction. Thank you.
That's just the fellow creative in me, you know.
Yeah.
Off to the fellow artists out there coming onto the platform. Speaking of hats, yo, I had to throw on my closest fashionable thing.
Nice.
I'm usually rocking a snapback or something, but I was like, yo,
styling it. Okay.
let me dust it up a little bit for her. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no fedora.
Nice.
Just do.
That's cool. I see the headpiece in the background.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? We got the culture, we got the couture kind of, you know.
Yep, it's all. I see it. Nice.
That's the thing, yo. So welcome to the Concrete Jungle. We are a hip hop podcast show connecting creatives to the community, no matter what you're doing. Because within hip hop, it's so much things going on in our culture of hip hop. You got the language, you got the lingo, you got the style, you got the whole hustle of the street life that's going on. And when I came across you and your movement, I was like, yo, this is straight hip hop. What's going on here, you know, in a fashion form, in a couture cultural fashion form. So for everybody out there, yo, we want to welcome you to the Concrete Jungle.
This is the real concrete jungle.
Can we get a formal introduction of who you are? Who is this creative mind behind all these dope pieces and these dope, you know, these beautiful women that are wearing your pieces, yo? Like, give us some insight. Who is Nancy Elizabeth?
Oh, thank you. Okay, so like you said, I'm Nancy Elizabeth. I'm from Carson, California. I've been doing
shout out to Carson, y'all.
I have a Tongan and Samoan background, born and raised in Carson, and pretty much I've been designing clothes my whole life. It started out as a family business, got it from my mom. She's been designing clothes and sewing her whole life too. So I just kind of grew up in it and caught on to it and put my own spin on it. You know, I'm just trying to keep it all relevant, keep it all current with what's going on today, and really just include everybody around us. All of the models you see me using, like a lot of the comments I get about it is that it's so diverse and, you know, a wide range of colors, shapes, and ages, but it's just people, you know, it's just people. Right? Like that word diverse, it only comes up because of what you typically see in the fashion industry, but I'm just showcasing regular people. A lot of these girls are local. They're all connected to me in some way, shape, or form. This wasn't like some formal casting call or anything like that, you know. It's just people. It's the community. It's the neighbors. It's everybody I grew up with. So that's what it is.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So take us back to the people. Take us back to Carson. What was the spark that led us to where we're at now? Like, what was that moment? I know you said this was kind of handed down through the family, through, you know, just work of just, you know, your craft. Was there like a certain moment where you're like, I want to do this?
You know, it's funny because, well, our family business, Lift Island. So we've been in Carson for over 30 years. And
nice.
So back in 2012, we actually started our fashion show scholarships. So we would host fashion shows and we would give out scholarships to island scholars, you know, Pacific Islander students. And we would have it every other year. And the last big one that I was planning was for 2020. But, you know, we all know what happened in 2020. So we couldn't
Right.
have the fashion show that I had been planning. And so I just had to think of another way to keep the creative juices flowing. And, if we couldn't have a fashion show, I figured, you know what, this is something I've been wanting to do for a while. So let's do the film. I think it's the next step in what we do anyway. So, after years of having the fashion show, and I've had the chance to travel internationally to present our stuff at different fashion shows overseas. I think this would be, another creative outlet for us to show what we do in the same vein as the fashion show, but just, also incorporating other creative expressions.
That's dope. Really connecting and bridging that gap from cultures and like letting people in on us. So I
Yeah,
really like
exactly.
that. Speaking of
Yeah.
us, and I love how you said that, and I love how you said that. People are amazed by like the diverseness of the models, and for you saying that those are my peoples. Those are what I
Yeah.
see every day. And I think going off of just the people's representation is everything. And
Right.
I have a little, 10-year-old daughter. What's up, baby girl? She be watching these too. So I think it's really important that we have important people taking those roles to show the young ones that are coming up. Like there is other things in the world that we can be besides nurses and football players. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
for
it's like,
sure.
that's
Yeah,
pretty
there are,
dope.
I mean, our people are just so naturally creative, in
Right?
ways that we don't even know we're creative, even just being able to plan and think of ideas, that all involves creativity. And like, we don't even know how creative our people really are, or it's not showcased enough.
That's what's up. So was it always the fashion for you? Like, is there something that goes hand in hand with this? Because I always feel like fashion
Well,
designers are ex-rappers or R&B singers. So like,
yeah, it's fun. Yeah, well, I mean, it's always been the fashion for me, but I've always incorporated culture into the fashion. Like, my mom being a seamstress, we always grew up making cultural wear because Pacific Islanders, Tongans, Samoans, Fijians, Micronesians, we're the only people who still custom make a lot of our clothes for our cultural events. It's not like you can go to Target and get a bukasi.
yeah.
So those kinds of things, those kinds of things are still they still keep us busy. So I've always been involved in creating like cultural garments, but just being a part of my generation and being a part of the culture, I've always tried to find ways to incorporate the culture into what I'm moving forward in, artistically. I've always wanted to incorporate our Pacifica culture into that.
That's dope. Was your apprenticeship, did that take place in the home studio, or where else was all this cultivated?
Yeah, mainly just, in the home studio, as far as like learning technical things and actually learning how to design and sew. But, just life experiences too. I didn't go to school for fashion. I went to school for business, but even going to
Wow.
school and having the opportunity to travel, like all that gets incorporated into what you're creating.
Wow, that is dope. I honestly thought, like, going into this interview, I was like, yo, I gotta ask, like, where'd you study fashion? Because like because
Yeah.
when I see these designs, yo, these are pretty intricate. And I'm like,
Thank
I'm an
you.
artist myself. I write music. And when I
Nice.
write music, I see like a whole picture that's painted and I just describe what's going on. So when I
Mhm.
seen your creative process in just a little quick reel, I'm like, yo, this is kind of like how a rapper writes. And like, I'm wondering, what is your creative process in designing?
Um, you know what? A large part of my design inspiration comes from the models, like comes from the people. I think of the people, that I'd want to dress, or, my friends, my family, they inspire me. They inspire me. And then also just everything else that comes artistically, colors, music, history, all those things, of course, but it's always the people. Yeah, it's
That's
always
what's
the
up.
people for me that mainly inspire these designs.
Yo, I definitely feel it. And, a little bit of the background that you're saying, you come from a Samoan and Tongan background. Growing up in Cali, especially Carson, California, what was it like for a young Samoan Tongan girl growing up? What was the lens looking like for you? Were you restricted from wearing certain types of clothes? How was that growing up?
Like, well, I'm really close to my parents. My mom is Tongan, my father is Samoan. And I did kind of grow up a little bit more traditional Samoan as far as like, I grew up, couldn't wear my hair down, had to keep my hair up my whole till I graduated from high school, leave your hair up in a bun, like little things like that culturally, and even like, dressing more modestly, things like that. But my parents always encouraged my creativity, like if they saw me working on something, they would always support me. When I told them I wanted to do the fashion show back in 2012, they were all for it. Like they loved it, and they totally backed me up 100% on that. So, and then growing up in Carson, I've just always been around Samoans and Tongans. I've always been around Pacifica people. So it's not like I was ever away from it in any sense or in any way of that sort. But another reason why I display or express this art the way that I do is just because, sometimes people don't feel as included just because they don't participate in traditions or the culture as much as they would like to, or maybe they don't know all of the traditions, or but we are who we are, whether that's that or not, and so I try to do things that are a little more inclusive, that everybody can feel a part of, whether you grew up speaking the language or whether you grew up knowing the history or any of that, but just to know that that's still who you are.
That is true. Did you grow up having a bit of a battle, kind of, I guess, relying on like where should your attention lay more towards one side of the culture or opposed to the other? Did you have that kind of battle?
You know what? It's crazy because I have thought about that before, and I feel like I had a pretty good balance. Growing up with my Tongan grandma in the house, I would always still follow Tongan tradition, speak Tongan in the house, but then having like a very present Samoan father, he was always there too, instilling Samoan culture into me. So I had a pretty good balance of both sides, and I felt pretty connected to both cultures.
That's what's up. I gotta ask, Carson or Banning? Where'd you go?
I actually went to Narbonne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We ain't going to the hood.
I actually went to Narbonne, but even Narbonne, there was Samoans at Narbonne too, so we're everywhere.
That's dope. So I see you got you got the new project that's dropped right now. I love that, man. Oh my gosh, I love that project. Before we dive right into that, because I want to kind of peel back the layers on it because it's so deep. I love that project. I do want to know though, what was more work going into it, preparing for a fashion show or putting together that short film?
Definitely the short film. The short film took so much more organizing, so much more planning, a lot more work, and a lot more scheduling, because everyone involved still has, still has jobs, still has commitments, throughout the week. So just finding those pockets of time where we could get together to film each scene and, trying to improvise when people couldn't make it, things like that, so really just planning and organizing was the more challenging part heading into that project. And it definitely takes more planning and organizing than the fashion shows that we've had.
That's what's up, man. That is so dope. And speaking of fashion shows, congratulations. I seen you guys did your thing at the We Are Samoa.
Thank you. Yes.
Jerome Gray, the gala
shout
that
out
just
to the
took
Gray
place.
family.
Shout out to the Gray family, our fellow modern day family out there. What's up, y'all fams? I see y'all out there. Yo, so that was pretty dope. What does it mean to be able to see your work displayed at an event like Jerome Gray's We Are Samoa Gala? For all of you out there who don't know, the great legendary musician himself, Jerome Gray, what does it feel like to be able to see that, in a room of all this just beautiful Pacifica excellence going on?
It was incredible. Like, it was such an honor to be able to present the pieces there that night and to have it be received by a room full of, our people who are all there to do something great. Like it was an amazing night. I feel so grateful that we got to be a part of that,
That's
for sure.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take you back a little bit.
Okay.
2015, you posted, I remember days I prayed for things that I have now. Fast forward to 7 years later, 2022. How does that statement register with you today?
I mean, for sure, I see a lot of the things that I've been setting goals for and trying to manifest coming into fruition and materializing. And I just feel like that's always going to be constant, like there's never a I'm here now moment, it's always
Right.
going to be I'm still praying. I'm still, I'm still being thankful for the things today that I prayed for yesterday, and I'm still praying for more things. So that's always going to be a constant.
That's what's up. You're such a dope, humble soul. That's what's up. I mean, just coming from social media, they always say too, like you can't really take from social media, face value. And I was just thinking, like, yo, these designs are straight up bomb. You know what I'm saying? They're epic. She's from Carson. I'm about to be like, encountering with like some hood designer. But I'm like, yo, you are very like peaceful. Like there's a certain dope aura around you. I love that. You know what
Thank
I'm
you.
saying? Speaking of peace and having that around you in the creative process, all creative minds, the studio's jumping. When you're in your studio base, does it have to be a quiet setting? Are we lighting candles? Are we kumbayaing? Or are we turning up? You know what I mean? City girls, pop, 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 you know what I'm saying? What's going on?
You know what? It's a different vibe for different days. Sometimes we're turning up, but definitely there's always music happening. It's not always a quiet situation, That's when I'm like actually creating. Planning is a little more quiet time needed, but when it's like creating time, like, there's definitely music going on in the background. Sometimes it's some lo-fi, sometimes it's, a little bit of trap, sometimes it's, it's whatever the pieces require.
You ever had a request where someone was like wanting a custom piece and it was like straight up ugly and you're like, oh well, I don't know if I want to do that. This is in-depth artist interviews. We want to know
That's
what it's
so
like being an
funny.
artist.
It's funny because, like you have a journey. Like when you're first starting out, you're grateful for all your customers. And I'm still grateful for all of my customers for sure. But when you're first starting out, you're taking every customer that comes your way, right? Because you're still trying to establish yourself. So you find yourself in those moments where you are creating pieces that you necessarily would never design yourself or wear or anything like that, But as I became a little more established with what I was doing, a little more comfortable, a little more experienced, I started being more selective with what I will create and what I won't create.
You're like, I'm actually booked. I can't do it this weekend.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not quite my style, but let me redirect you to maybe who can help you with that,
That is dope, yo. So let's take it back to the top of the short film, the beautiful epic short. That's a little movie, yo. Let's take it to the project real quick. Touch base on it. Let us know your insight of Tapa.
So Tapa is a material that I use a lot. Like if over the years since I first started creating, even back to when I designed me and my sister's prom dresses back in 2002, I put Tapa on it. I'm always incorporating Tapa into into most of the pieces that I make. And I also do these custom graduation stoles, which is one of our most ordered items during graduation season. And I put Tapa on those as well. And I just felt like it was becoming a little too common and the meaning and the significance of it was sort of getting lost. So I thought it was time to remind, the community of what Tapa is, how it's created, the meaningfulness of it to our people, to our community, and how it's evolved over time, how the uses of it has evolved, just so that they know that it's intentional when I put these pieces of Tapa on their designs. It's not just, I'm just throwing a piece of fabric on there and this looks cool, like I know what I'm sharing and I want them to know too.
That's dope. So is there designs that you don't use Tapa?
Yeah, there's design, like even in this collection, even though it's called Tapa, uh, it's the Tapa collection. Not every single piece has Tapa on it. So I do make a lot of designs that don't have tapa. I'll just use some elements like, maybe some of the ways that it's made will inspire the way that I make something else. It doesn't necessarily have to include tapa cloth.
Gotcha. What are you
Mhm.
hoping to for your viewers watching Tapa for them to take from that film?
I'm hoping that they can watch the film. I mean, on the surface, I'm hoping that they can learn a little more about tapa, maybe be inspired to research it themselves, and obviously like enjoy the visuals. A little deeper than surface level, I hope that the storyline resonates with them. I hope that they can feel empowered and proud of their culture the way that I feel proud of it too, and pretty much feel mobilized, to move it forward.
Nice. And you definitely mobilized it by having an all-female cast. What was the whole emphasis behind that?
It's funny, it wasn't originally supposed to be an all-female cast, and it's not even supposed to be like a women empowerment thing at all either. It just turned out that way because, like I said, when the planning and organizing is always a difficult part. And out of all the guys that I wanted to have in the film, only one was always available every time we got time to shoot, and I didn't
That's
want him to be
scheduling.
the only man in the film. So it ended up being an all-female cast, but it makes me so happy to see men and boys resonating with the film, finding it interesting, catching the message, feeling empowered by it too, because it's not meant to be for just women, but it just turned out to be that the cast was all women.
That's what's up. That's
Yeah.
interesting to know
Yeah.
that. And this is what the Concrete Jungle is about. We got that exclusive right there. So for all y'all who didn't know, you know what I'm saying? So that's a really dope, insight on that, behind the scenes. And I think it
Yeah.
came across pretty dope. A lot of the women in there, I know through dance. My daughter dances for Nono Cena. So
Oh,
it's like,
nice.
shout out to the Nono Cena cast, killing it. All the women, they look so beautiful. And I
Yeah.
think you highlighted all of the women so dope. Why do you think people who are maybe outside of our culture, why do you think our women look so powerful and just so like tall and strong? You know what I'm saying? Why do you think that is? Because when I seen the film, I was like, yo, like, you know what I mean? These are some warriors, you know what I mean? Like, it made me stand up.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely was built into the structure of the film. We really wanted to showcase the strength and power of our women, just, yeah, there is a regalness about it. I don't know if it's just in us. And I really wanted to display that, but that's how I feel about it too. And I'm so happy to hear from you that it translated.
Oh, I loved it. My daughter watched it first as I was driving, and
Aww.
I just heard her in the back, and she's yelling out her dance sister's name. She's like, "Oh my gosh, daddy!" And so like she's screaming. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch it." You know what I'm saying? So then we watched it together again, and she absolutely loves it. And
Aww.
that's what I said. Representation is everything.
Yes.
So I really love that. So what would you say your advice is for those those young Samoan, Tongan, all Pacifica, Fijian, Hawaiian, Guam, that may be just a little bit intimidated, growing up in our culture where, certain creativity is not encouraged, that maybe see your designs as like, I want to do that, but I'm kind of scared to express that. What is your words, wisdom for the young princesses out there?
I feel like there's always going to be that initial hesitation, and you're always going to feel a little bit of anxiousness or nervousness going into something like that. But I think it's important to just keep pushing through. Like, the nerves never go away, but whether you get it done or not, that's up to you. We're always going to be a little nervous. We're always going to be a little scared. I mean, it definitely is nerve-wracking just kind of putting yourself out there like that, like, hey, look at what I made, like.
Do you approve?
But
Yeah.
another thing too is like, if you really believe in what you're making, and if you really, if you really love it and you're really into it, that's all that matters.
That's true.
That's really all that matters. That's how I feel about my own work, at least. If I love it and I know the intention that went into it, and I know the purpose and meaning and intention for it, and I love it, then I'm fine putting it out there. Like, yeah, that's me, that's me.
That's what's up. I love that part. Describe the feeling of watching your pieces come down the runway.
It's pretty thrilling, it's pretty joyous. It feels good to see your work in the flesh, just moving as you intended it to move. I love it. I love doing shows. Definitely that is the more creative side of this business, is the fashion shows and all of the marketing materials that we make through visuals and content, and being able to express every little piece of our art that way is it. I love that.
That's what's up. Biggest lesson from being a fashion designer?
My biggest lesson from being a fashion designer, and I think this might be something that a lot of artists across different fields feel, is figuring out your voice and your style, because going into these different artistic fields, we feel inspired by others. That's why we get into this field, because we see other work that other people do, and it sparks something in us and it makes us want to do something. But learning to make that our own, learning to find our own creative voice and style that's signature to us, that's pretty much always going to be a learning process for me. And that's something I think that artists are really challenged with.
I definitely see that. Now, what would you say in the whole process of it all is your favorite part? You like
My
designing,
favorite-
you just chilling, just watching the fruits of your labor coming through. Like,
Yeah, specifically, well, if I was to say specifically about like this project, the more funner parts are definitely the actual shoots. The pieces are made. That was a hectic ordeal. The people are organized. We've picked out the spot. We know what scene we're filming, and then just actual shoot days are always the funnest.
are you creative director also on
Yes.
set? Oh,
Yeah.
dang. So you fashion designer and also creative director, cracking the whip. Like, okay. So is that more by choice because you cover that trade, or you need the vision to come through, or how is delegating work with other creatives for you?
It's been a learning process, especially because this is the first short film that I've done. And typically fashion films are usually like a minute long, so it's just like as just like the runway, you're down the runway, you're up the runway. So fashion films aren't typically this long, but ours is like 10 minutes long, because we're also telling a story. And so definitely learning how to because my boyfriend, he actually helped me with the directing and filming, and we work together so well that he has a good grasp of how to bring my vision to life when it comes to filming, or even just photographing, because we've done photo series before the film too. We've done photo series of different collections, so this was like the next step after our photo series, was creating this film. And working with him, and also Vanessa Sua, she was another one of the people who filmed. And it's been a process, learning how to direct, learning how to get what I want out of each shoot, making sure that we're getting what it is that's necessary content for the the story that we're trying to tell. So that's all been a big learning process for me, but I loved it.
That's dope. Are you writing everything too?
Yeah, so I wrote the story.
Wow.
And I'm narrating, and then we also have interviews that we did. And so the interviews are non-scripted. Every other voice aside from mine is non-scripted. So those are just people that we sat down and had conversations with.
Dope. Wow, like you're doing everything but holding the camera, sis. Like
Yeah, and
dope.
also my boyfriend also did the music. So all of the music was custom created for the film. You know, he had to make like 6 different songs for each sequence just to really capture what was going on in the story.
That was from your boyfriend.
Yeah.
That is dope. So
he did all of the music scoring and composition for the film.
So y'all got like a little, power couple thing going on right here.
We team up on a lot of things. Yeah.
Alicia Keys, Swiss Beats type thing going on. I see it. That's what's up. How is that? Shout out to all the couples that can be in that creative space. Like that's pretty dope.
Nice. It's awesome. Shout out to Chaz Rocks Tony. That's his name, by the way.
Okay, so I thought I was tripping. Doesn't he make beats or something?
Yeah,
I
so
heard
he's a
this.
producer.
Yeah,
Also, yeah, he's a producer. He films. He's a photographer, but yeah, he also is a music producer.
That is dope.
Yeah.
So that's pretty convenient for you to be like, "Hey, man, can I get this?" Can I get
I mean, he's
5 raw tracks that pertain to this scene.
Yeah, he really developed the music for each scene, for each sequence. He as I was writing the story, I'm going over it with him just so that he knows the vibe too. He understands what we're trying to capture, and all that goes in to the process when he's filming and when he's making the music.
That's what's up. Do you have a music side to you?
I'm a pretend music analyst.
Let's get it. Ain't we all?
I'm like, who am I to tell these people how their song should have sounded? Oh my gosh, but I swear.
Yeah, you're a connoisseur of good taste in things, You can't help it. Speaking of music, what did you grow up on? Hip hop. What kind of hip hop did you grow up on?
I mean, I'm a 90s kid, born in the late 80s. I'm a 90s
Best
kid.
era.
So, it was like DMX, Lauryn Hill, all the early 2000 artists. That's pretty much, who I was growing up on musically.
That's what's up.
But my dad's music taste had a lot of influence too. So I listened to a lot of Al Green, UB40, Stevie Wonder.
I was gonna say, you from Carson, like every other Carson head listens to oldies, and me and Gotti was talking about that. Shout out to the Usam Booyah. And we were just talking about like almost every song on. That's what I love about our people, is because like you said, there's so much like creativeness in all of us. The music side to us, I love, because like we could be tripping at a party, but like you play that Betty Wright, you get a little Al Green going, Right.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Calm down the vibe.
Yeah, even country. It's just
a little bit of country. Shout out to that. I just came across, Cowboy, Simon Cowboy.
Oh yeah.
So like this is so dope.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're stepping out of the box.
Are. Yeah.
So
for sure.
what is next to come? What can we expect from you? You know what I'm saying? I'm picturing aliens flying in Tapa.
That's so funny.
Intergalactic Tapa.
Funny you should say that. No. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm willing to push forward in a forward direction with all creative expressions, like this form of storytelling with this short film. Because even just designing clothes for a fashion show, to me, every piece you design, all that is part of storytelling. Like, where is this girl going? What is she wearing this to? Where does she come from? Who is she? What does she do? You're creating all these stories around these individual pieces. So this was just another creative outlet to continue storytelling, so I'm open to exploring even more different ways to express the storytelling of our culture, our people, and using fashion as pretty much like a conduit to tell the story.
Man, I say make a mixtape, might as well. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, might as well, just check every box while we running across the board. That would be dope. But I love
Let's
it.
Do that too.
You're pushing the envelope, yo. You are definitely setting the bar high and showing these young, beautiful, young queens to be the limits of where you could push your creativity. And I love that part. I did want to get your insight on the situation that happened in New York Fashion Week. I know you've seen Young Thug doing that little stop during Fashion Week. What is your advice as a fashion designer? Are you familiar with that little story that happened?
No,
New York
I'm
Fashion
not.
Week's
What
going
happened?
on. It's booming. Young Thug's front row center. The models are coming down. Mid-show, he stops one of the models. Mid-show, adjusts his whole outfit, fixes it. Boom, boom, boom. It's from another designer, V Flies. So this went viral because they're saying, is this disrespectful or is this a creative mind? Because he also has a clothing line also. How do you feel as a fashion designer? Your input. Someone stops your show, sis, and they're like, hold on, let me fix this topo real quick.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, I can see how people would have different opinions on that, but I mean, to me, I think that's pretty disrespectful. When you put a whole presentation together, you already have a vision for it. You already know what you're trying to express. And so for an audience member to kind of try to take control of your storytelling, that's disrespectful.
Oh,
You're supposed to just enjoy the story I'm telling. You're not supposed to interrupt me and tell me how to tell my story.
You just remixed my story, bro. What you doing?
Yeah,
my intellectual property, dog.
Probably not. That's probably a no-go for me.
I feel it. I I just wanted to know because when I seen that, I was trying to dust off my fashion knowledge. You know what I mean? I wanted to get prepared because I really respect what you're doing. And when I came across the story, I was like, I gotta ask her this because that seems weird. That just seems hella out of pocket. But at the same time, do you take advantage of the fact that he's got like millions of followers and that he's touching your clothes?
I mean, it created a viral moment. People can take advantage of the internet's algorithm, and I can see how that could work too. Yeah, for sure. It could go either
but don't
way,
do that to my shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's up, yo. So we've covered the film, we've covered the depthness. I'm fobbing now, but I love it because it's the concrete. I love it.
Fine.
You know what I'm saying? And so if I couldn't be me, we couldn't be we. So moving through that, is there anything else that we would be surprised to know about you?
Surprised to know about me? I don't know, like I can't
like,
really
do you
think
still
of
wear
anything.
FUBU? No, I'm just like
That's so funny. Yeah, I probably no, I don't know. I don't think there's anything really surprising. Pretty much what you see is what it is.
That's definitely it.
Yeah, just always trying to push the line forward.
Push the line forward. And I think you are definitely doing that. I just really want to take the time out right now, before we do kind of let you go. I know you got endless amounts of creativity to just pour out. So before I do let you go, I just really want to give you your flowers. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
And just tell you that we appreciate you. We appreciate what you're doing in our community, inspiring the young Pacifica, young girls coming up, and the young men. We don't want to leave anybody out, because you don't know who you're inspiring or you're touching out there with your story. And when I seen your designs, I was like, yo, we got to talk. We got to chop it up. You know what I'm saying? And especially you from over here, you from Southern California. We from over here too, Anaheim, California, so it was only right that we bring each other's creative, platforms to the table and we share with the concrete what's going on out there. And I'm calling it, future straight up fashion icon, blazing the trail for all of our Pacifica people out there. Sis, we thank you. We appreciate you. Keep doing your thing, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Nah, it's love. And before we do let you go, we want to let you have the last word. Any parting words for everybody out there supporting the movement? Anything you like to touch base on?
One of the big themes in the film is pretty much the fact that making tapa is community work. It's family work. It's something that you have to come together to do, and you create these beautiful pieces of tapa. And I feel that I wanted that to translate throughout, that there's so much that we can do. There's so much beautiful work that we can do when we come together like that as a community or as a family to create together.
And like she said, bring it together, yo. Community, creativity, culture, yo. That's what we are. Concrete Jungle, yo. That is right, y'all. It is your Uso Devotion with the Concrete Jungle. Chilling with your fashion designer / entrepreneur, Nancy Elizabeth, yo, your hip hop entrepreneur artist of the week. Keep it locked. It's the Concrete Jungle.
Concrete Jungle.
I'm Nancy Elizabeth, and you're chilling on a Concrete Jungle with Devotion.
The Concrete Jungle. Concrete Jungle.